Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. My name is TJ Jones. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Really do appreciate it. You know, I've been trying to search for the word to describe the New Orleans Saints Philadelphia Eagles Week 11 game. And there are so many words that came to my mind, but there's only one word that would describe what I saw, and that word is damn.
On first down, little shoulder fake. Thomas, what a throw! Surgical precision.
Yes, the New Orleans Saints beat the sheesh out of the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 48-7. That's right, 48-7. The Saints beat the world champion Philadelphia Eagles by 41 points. I mean, honestly, man, all you can do is laugh. And you're laughing not because of the score, but it's because the New Orleans Saints made a team, a Super Bowl champion, quit on national television. Make no mistake about it. The whole world saw the Philadelphia Eagles quit in the Week 11 matchup. The New Orleans Saints were just absolutely flawless in this game. Drew Brees was as efficient as I have ever seen him. Drew Brees was 22 of 30 for 363 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Drew Brees, once again, I will shout this from the rooftops. I will get on the bighorn, and I will continuously say this week after week after week. Drew Brees deserves to be league MVP this season. Forget about Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Ty Gurley. No disrespect to those guys. Those guys are good. They're having phenomenal seasons. But MVP stands for most valuable player. And that means something to me. Now, I know we have these awards out here now, the Heisman Trophy, some of these other college awards that people win. And it has absolutely nothing to do about the player being the best in all of football. It's mostly about, stat padding and all of that kind of stuff there. But MVP to me says that you are the most valuable player on your team. Meaning, if you are to be removed from that team will not be the same. And you cannot say that the Saints would be the same without Drew Brees. Don't believe me? On yesterday, Michael Thomas, I'll read you his stats. He had 4 catches for 92 yards. He averaged 23 yards a catch. All right? Now, for the most part of the game, Michael Thomas was double covered. They had a safety and a corner, or sometimes they even had a linebacker on him. Always was double covered. Alvin Kamara was double covered. These are the two people that Drew Brees relies on. And you can even throw Ben Watson in there. I don't even think Benjamin Watson played yesterday. If he did, then he didn't do anything. Somebody tell me, who is Keith Kirkwood? Who is Austin Carr? Who is Traquan Smith? Now, we know who they are because we're Saints fans. But when you can take away an elite receiver like Michael Thomas and still get guys who are on a practice squad, guys who are undrafted free agents, and make them relevant, you, my friend, are the most valuable player. And not to mention, Drew Brees only has 1 interception this entire season. Right now, he has 25 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Look, no disrespect to Jared Goff. No disrespect once again to Ty Gurley. No disrespect to Patrick Mahomes. But Drew Brees is better than all of those guys right now. And if you take Drew Brees away from the Saints, they are not the same team. This man deserves to be MVP. But back to the game itself. The Saints dominated this game from start to finish. They did anything they wanted to do in this game. If they wanted to throw the ball, they threw it. If they wanted to run the ball, they ran it. I think I seen Drew Brees in the pocket knitting a sweater because that's how much time he had. Drew Brees went 22 of 30 in this game, and I can make an argument that he should have been 24 of 30 because I can think of 2 passes that were dropped by receivers. I mean, they just did any and everything that they wanted to do. I mean, obviously, this game wasn't even close. But you have Philadelphia Eagles fans. Man, get a load of this. You have Philadelphia Eagles fans that are upset because they felt that the New Orleans Saints were running up the score and the Saints have no class. Wait a minute now. The Philadelphia Eagles fans are trying to tell another team about having class. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and I'm using quotations when I say this, brotherly love. The same city who is known for being rude and obnoxious. The same city that is known for booing Santa Claus at a Philadelphia Eagle game. The same city that on a video that went viral when the New Orleans Saints had a wild card game against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Saints won, and a Saints fan was cheering in the crowd, a Philadelphia Eagle fan turned around and spit in the face of a Saints fan. But yet the Philadelphia Eagles fans want to talk to people about class. Anyway, I think I know what they're talking about. Okay, there was a play on 4th and 7. Okay, it was clear that the Saints had this game well in hand, but they went for it. And Drew Brees did this.
Play clock at 2. Saints go for it. Kamara down the sideline. What a throw! Another touchdown.
Oh, what's the matter, Philadelphia? Y'all mad because the Saints ran up the score? Oh, you want a Band-Aid for your boo-boo? Oh, man, check this out. Philadelphia, get out your feelings, all right? The New Orleans Saints are here to win the game. They ain't here to tell us about sportsmanship and shaking hands and kissing babies and politicking. These guys are trying to win a football game. And this is also a team that had a huge lead going into halftime against the Los Angeles Rams, okay? And the Rams came all the way back and tied that game up at 35, and it took almost down to the last minute for them to eke out a victory versus the undefeated Rams. So get out your feeling, Philadelphia. This had very little to do with you. It had everything to do with the mind frame that you play until the game is over. And that's what Sean Payton was trying to say to his team. After the game, Sean Payton talked to the media about was he or was he not running up the score.
Well, it was going to be a long field goal, longer than we wanted, with a potential block. We still weren't at that point in the game. You know, you just have to play in one game where you're up 31 and you lose when you're up 31 in the fourth quarter, and that's an explosive offense. So, but it's an empty at the line call, and you know, Drew did a good job of making the throw. You know, we're playing, and it's hard to have thoughts about what you want to do when you're still 15 minutes remaining in the game.
Well, there was one Philadelphia Eagle player that didn't like the play, and that player was former New Orleans Saints safety, now Philadelphia Eagles safety, Malcolm Jenkins. Now, after the play, after the 4th and 7, and after Alvin Kamara scored, Malcolm Jenkins looked at the Saints bench, looked at Sean Payton, and gave him the middle finger. Sean Payton talked to the media about his feelings towards Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm, you know, I think the world of him. He's a tremendous player. And, you know, I hate that he got out of here. You know, that was probably as big a mistake as we've made here in 13 years. And he's made up of all the right things, and he's a tremendous competitor.
You can tell Sean Payton really cares about Malcolm Jenkins, okay? You can tell, number one, because he drafted him, all right? That's very important. You're not going to draft a player if you're not in love with him. And you could see after the game, you know, after the situation, those two embraced at the 50-yard line, and they kind of talked for a few minutes. So they probably discussed what happened. So I'm glad that they got that cleared up. I don't have anything against Malcolm Jenkins. I think that he was a good Saints player. I think that he did some good things in the black and gold. He had some issues tackling early in his career, but now he turned into a seasoned veteran and a locker room leader and an NFL leader as well. So I think that both parties kind of won when it comes to the whole Malcolm Jenkins situation. But back to the game itself, I think that the Saints did an outstanding job. I like the fact that players like Traquan Smith, Keith Kirkwood, Dan Arnold, these guys stepped up in the game after Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas were double covered. I like the running game. I liked how Mark Ingram, it seems like he is starting to get into the flow of the game. He is playing himself back into football shape. A couple weeks, of course, at the beginning of the season, he was out because he was suspended by the National Football League. But now it seems like Mark Ingram has found his stride, and that is very, very dangerous for other teams that are in the NFC. I think that the Saints right now are the best team in football. I said that last week after they beat down the Bengals, but there are some people out there still preaching and shouting from the rooftops that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team or the Los Angeles Rams are the best team. No, the best team is the New Orleans Saints. For the last couple of weeks, let's just go 2 weeks. We're not even going to add 3 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, the Saints have scored 99 points. And now we're going to go to 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, y'all check this out. In 3 weeks, the New Orleans Saints have scored a grand total of 144 points. The New Orleans Saints in 3 weeks have scored more points than the Buffalo Bills have scored all season. Let that sink in. They have scored 144 points. That is more points scored in 3 games than the Buffalo Bills, a football team, has scored an entire season. They also have the NFL record for least amount of punts in a season right now. Thomas Morstead only punted the ball 20 times this season. And for the last couple of weeks, he wasn't even on the field. That goes to show you how efficient this offense is. And not to mention they're second all time in NFL history in points per game. That's amazing. This team is legit. This team is for real. And I'm taking it week by week. That's just me. But I really feel like this team is on their way, and I'm knocking on wood, to the Super Bowl. And the defense has improved. Now, I know a lot of people out there, they're trying to, dismiss the defense. But for the last couple of weeks, the Saints defense has really been good. They have been generating turnovers. They have been getting pressure on the quarterback. And a lot of people are saying that's because, the offense is scoring all the points and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They matriculating the ball downfield. They're owning the time of possession. And that is making up for the defense making mistakes, and they don't have time to make these mistakes. Look, man, whatever. The Saints defense is playing much better. The addition of Eli Apple has really helped. You got Marshawn Lattimore, who is playing like his rookie season. I mean, it was kind of touch and go at the beginning of the season. You got Marcus Williams. He's playing well. You got Kurt Coleman, the safety. He's playing well. I mean, these guys are playing well all around. You even got P.J. Williams out there, playing a little bit better. I think that when he was awarded NFC Defensive Player of the Week, ever since he got that award, I think that did something to his confidence. Ever since he got that award, he's really been improving. Sheldon Rankins is playing out his mind right now, and it's good to see. I mean, we always talk about Cam Jordan when we talk about getting pressure up front, but now you see Sheldon Rankins coming into his own, and he's really getting into that discussion about being one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL. I know we talk about Aaron Donald, which we should, but I think a lot of people need to start talking about Sheldon Rankins also, because he is really doing an outstanding job, man. 6 sacks on the season. He has had a sack a game for the last 3 weeks, okay? He has had at least 1 sack in these last 3 games, so he's really coming into his own. And I'm really happy about what I see with the Saints. You can tell this is a true, legit team. These guys play for each other. These guys care about each other. And it's not a team that's full of me's. It's a team full of we's. And I don't think people understand how important that is. When you got a team that's playing for each other, I've been saying this for weeks also. When you have a team that plays for each other, that is a recipe for success. You see guys on the sidelines, they dancing when they celebrating after a turnover, offensive players running onto the field taking pictures. I mean, these guys are a cohesive unit. They play for each other, and that's very, very important. But the New Orleans Saints have a big matchup coming up on Thanksgiving against the hated Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons, who I think are on like a 3-game losing streak, if I ain't mistaken. Oh, poor Falcons. We're going to talk about that game. I'm going to give you my prediction coming up later in the week. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you for checking out the podcast once again. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel of the State of the Saints podcast. Go to youtube.com, search State of the Saints podcast, hit that subscription button, hit that bell for notifications, and also follow State of the Saints podcast on Twitter. Go to Twitter and follow at SOTS Podcast 8. That's SOTS Podcast 8. Till next time, all I have to say is, who dat?